Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for this special event we have today as part of MBS. I'm thrilled to have here on the stage the governor of the state of Michigan, Governor Gretchen Whitmer. And to kick off today's announcement, I'd like to introduce Trevor Paul. He's our Chief Mobility Officer for the state of Michigan, Office of Future Mobility and Electrification. Trevor.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I said good morning, everybody. Good morning. All right. So it's awesome to be with you here today because we got some news to make. So now, as you know, in Michigan, we're proud to be the global mobility leader. It's a foundational part of our past, but it's also critical to our future, right? But to truly claim global mobility leadership, we got to focus on all aspects of transportation. Like innovations that go beyond those times when a vehicle is moving, which is actually, I just learned this, only about 5% of the time. What about the other 95%? So today, Michigan is going to stake its global claim as the leader in immobility. What do I mean by that? Well, we believe there's so much more that can be done with that other 95%. That time when a car is just sitting, parking or about to be parked. You know, the truth is, parking's a big, hairy, global problem, and there's just not enough solutions out there to solve it. In fact, finding parking in a city contributes to 30% of that city's emissions and congestion. That's not okay, that's not acceptable. So the state of Michigan, alongside our partners, Bosch, Bedrock, Ford, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, American Center for Mobility, we believe parking should be easier, should be safer, should be greener, should be more accessible. And the parking spot itself, it needs to be a little smarter. It needs to be a little more productive. So today, we're announcing a new public-private partnership to create the nation's first smart parking lab. The Detroit Smart Parking Lab will be a real-world test site that focuses on the future of parking. It's going to be located at Bedrock's Assembly Garage in Corktown, Detroit, actually right down the street from Ford's Michigan Central Station Innovation District. And it's going to open in September, so all those mobility pioneers, those real estate innovators, those paratransit leaders, those startups, they can test, deploy new technologies around parking, logistics, EV charging, all on site. And the American Center for Mobility is going to run it. They're going to manage the day-to-day operations as an extension of the work they're already doing at their Ypsilanti testing site. See, it's all coming together. The ecosystem's coming together, man. And on top of that, to drive solutions into the real world faster, the Michigan Office of Future Mobility and Electrification is actually going to provide grants to companies to deploy the technologies that are tested into the community. Look, I'm sick of driving around. I know you are too. I am sick of driving around the block 5 times to find a parking spot. There's got to be a better way. Imagine a world where you could literally get out of your car and it can safely and efficiently park itself. Imagine a world where parking, the act of parking, actually relieves congestion, pollution, and anxiety. We're trying to create that world. And this is the team that's doing it. So I want to call you guys out if it's okay, because you've done great work. So we have Paul Thomas, who's the Executive Vice President for Mobility Solutions at Bosch. We have Heather Wilberger, Chief Information Officer at Bedrock. We have Craig Stevens, Director of Controls and Automated Systems at Ford. And we have Chris Grayson, who's the Regional Vice President for Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and we have Ruben Sarkar, who's the CEO of the American Center for Mobility. And I also want to acknowledge Kevin Mull from Bosch. I want to acknowledge Catherine Snorrison from the Office of Future Mobility and Electrification, and I want to acknowledge Kate Casparo from Bedrock. I mean, you guys have done amazing work here today, and you inspire me. Speaking of being inspired, I'm honored today to introduce someone who truly understands how transformative these technologies can be. It is my honor, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce the governor of the great state of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer.
Thank you. Thank you. It's always terrible to follow Trevor because he is the best hype man there is, and that's why he's doing such a phenomenal job for us when it comes to the advanced mobility and immobility, apparently, now. So thank you, Trevor. I know I can always count on you to get us off on the right start. And I want to thank the team at CAR for inviting me to speak with all of you today. We could have made this announcement down in Detroit, would have made sense, but we wanted to do it right here with all of you because I think it's really an exciting moment. I want to acknowledge Quentin Messer, who is the new head of the MEDC over here, so everyone knows who he is, and my friend Paul Ajaba, the guy I call the Fix the Damn Roads guy here in Michigan, the head of MDOT. Paul is over here. We're working as a team sport because that's what it's going to take to continue our leadership and to be successful, to make sure that as we are building a stronger, safer economy, it's equitable and it's environmentally conscious. And I think that we are really on the precipice of some incredible change and innovation that's happening. So we've been very busy the last few years, building the future of roads with the first connected vehicle technology freeway work zone in the nation, and more than 600 miles of roadway equipped to connected vehicle testing. Today, we are upping our game with the nation's first smart parking lab right in the heart of Detroit, the city that put the world on wheels. We are once again leading this generation's transportation revolution. The Detroit Smart Parking Lab, hosted at Bedrock's Assembly Garage, will provide a physical environment and real-world use scenarios to test advanced technologies in parking, in logistics, and EV charging. And the lab will also expand parking scenarios beyond parking structures and is strategically located in historic Corktown neighborhood where Ford is developing a mobility innovation district anchored by the Michigan Central Station. Now, the applicability is beyond Detroit of the testing and the pilots that will take place at the Smart Parking Lab. It is made evident with Enterprise Holdings joining us today to announce their participation in this lab. Enterprise has more than 7,200 locations throughout the United States and globally. And the Smart Parking Lab in Detroit is where they will test automated valet parking technology from Bosch and electric vehicle charging technology that will be more seamless and efficient with rental car returns nationwide. And it's just one way where Michigan is continuing to lead the way in developing, testing, and deploying the future of transportation, including mobility and EV parking solutions. Innovative collaborations, like the Detroit Smart Parking Lab, are solving issues that will make transportation more accessible and affordable, while also creating an environment for technology and mobility-related companies to thrive and grow right here in Michigan. We have a global OEM, Ford, and the world's largest supplier, Bosch, working alongside major real estate company on smart parking solutions. And it's really an unusual, unique, and exciting approach that makes complete sense right in Detroit, which is the epicenter of an automotive and entrepreneurial ecosystem that is second to none. So collaboration has always been the hallmark of economic success here in Michigan. And at every level, the Smart Parking Lab is bringing innovative partners, Bosch, Ford, Bedrock, together to tackle issues holistically, while bringing one of our premier test beds in the state, the American Center for Mobility, on board to handle operations of the lab. And the state of Michigan is proud to be at the table, supporting this initiative through our Office of Mobility, Future Mobility and Electrification, and the Michigan Mobility Funding Platform, offering grants to mobility and electrification companies looking to deploy their technology right here in the solutions of the Detroit Smart Parking Lab. So, congratulations to every one of you. Thank you for being a part of this collaboration. And your teams, I know that it is a team effort truly within each of our organizations. We're just getting started with this Detroit Smart Parking Lab. Over the next few weeks and months, we will build on today's excitement and keep our momentum going when it comes to mobility and electrification initiatives all across our state and regionally. There will be additional announcements that we're excited to be making. But today's announcement is an important new asset in the ecosystem that we create as we're working toward an environment for technology and mobility-related companies to thrive and grow and to locate here in Michigan. It will help us continue our ongoing economic jumpstart. We've turned a projected $3 billion deficit here in Michigan to a $3.5 billion surplus. We have lower unemployment than the national average and the fastest GDP growth in the region. And we've gotten 2 credit rating upgrades in the midst of all the chaos of 2020. National publications and record keepers agree. We're number 1 for automotive manufacturing, according to Business Facilities. We're number 3 for sustainable development, according to Site Selection Magazine. And we've won Area Development's 2021 Golden Shovel Award for manufacturing. And we've been identified as the top state for foreign direct investment job growth by the Global Business Alliance. So no matter what size business you are, Michigan can help you accomplish your goals. Our access to talent, combined with affordable costs of living, and this incredible bounty of water that you have an opportunity to see here in Traverse City, gives us an advantage and an opportunity that no one else can compete with. I look forward to continuing our work together as we invest in small businesses and communities and people to power our economy to new highs. And with that, I thank you very much for giving us the ability to make this announcement right here in front of all of you, and I welcome our next speaker. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Governor Whitmer. I think that was a well thought out way to explain what we're doing here together today. I really feel it's an exciting day today as we roll out the Smart Parking Lab in Detroit. And we all know that when you look around us, we're in a very transformational phase in the automotive industry. And what's more important is the collaboration. What we're finding in Bosch is that we're collaborating with many different partners, as you can see by the people seated to the right of me. And this parking lab is just another example of how collaboration can enable success not only in our industry, but in the state we live in, Michigan. The lab is really an open innovation concept. It's a place for startups. It's a place for established companies. It's a place for automakers, suppliers, infrastructure providers, and even more importantly, people in the academic regions. It's a place for companies that might normally think of themselves as competitors to really work together and find solutions to make this challenge go away. This also is important that we work across many different boundaries. We have to build on each other's unique strengths, the opportunities that we have, and quite honestly, we accelerated through this program faster than I ever thought we could do to bring the innovations not only on a PowerPoint slide, but directly to the market. The hardest collaboration was getting to this point we are today. I want to thank the state of Michigan, Ford, and Bedrock as our founding sponsors to really make this idea a reality. And thank you to the American Center for Mobility for bringing its expertise from an operational standpoint to make sure we don't lose momentum as we begin bringing our first project on. Again, thanks to everybody. And while it's called the Detroit Smart Parking Lab, I do want to say that the possibilities go far beyond just parking. For example, last year with Ford and Bedrock, we showcased our concept for automated valet parking. And as described earlier, this was quite a pretty simple proof of concept, but took a lot of work where you basically park your car, get out, and it finds a spot on its own and will return to you exactly where you left it. Many people really love to drive, but as Trevor said, everyone hates to park. And with that, we're excited also to have a partner like Enterprise on our team, one of the largest mobility providers in the world. And with them involved, we hope to explore this technology like automated valet parking to bring operational efficiencies to a task we've all dealt with, returning your car either to a rental zone or to a drop-off spot and not having to wait for an attendant, but also making sure that that car is delivered back to the next driver in perfect shape, fully charged, and ready to go. Beyond parking, the lab also offered opportunities in parking-inspired logistics scenarios. If you think about the recent surge in online ordering and delivery addresses, we can also work with better curbside delivery, looking for certain aspects of delivering products to certain parts of a mall, a street, or even an industrial complex. So to me, I think like we said, we want to make sure this isn't just a parking lab, but really focuses on how to take care of that. And the key for all of this, quite openly, is the infrastructure interface. As one of the largest property owners in the city of Detroit, having Bedrock on board to highlight the critical role not only of the vehicle, not only of the people, but of the infrastructure is extremely important. And having them involved is a real differentiator. Now I'd like to hand it over to Heather Wilberger, the CIO of Bedrock, to talk more about the importance of the infrastructure in the future of mobility.
Bedrock is thrilled to join Bosch, Ford, and the state of Michigan as we announce the newest collaboration, the Detroit Smart Parking Lab. It makes perfect sense that the nation's first smart parking lab would be conceived in Detroit, the birthplace of the automotive revolution. Detroit has been known as the Motor City for generations, but new technology, innovation, and facilities such as the Detroit Smart Parking Lab are ushering in a new era for the industry, the city, and the region. It emphasizes what can be accomplished when auto aligns with real estate, technology, and government. So why is a real estate company putting its support behind new mobility technology? For Bedrock, one of our driving goals is to be good urbanists and further attract new talent, experiences, and companies to Detroit. That goes far beyond simply creating activated streetscapes and keeping our buildings occupied and maintained. We have a responsibility to help make our city greener, more sustainable, and more accessible. That's where mobility plays a major role in the real estate industry. If we can develop smarter, quicker, and more efficient parking solutions, we can help to reduce vehicle traffic, emissions, and provide innovative parking experiences that allow our city's residents and guests to choose how, when, and where to engage. Creating a more seamless parking experience not only benefits the individual, but provides additional amenities that make it easier for businesses to locate and expand to Detroit. Thanks so much to Bosch, Ford, Enterprise, American Center for Mobility, and Governor Whitmer for their support in making this happen. The rest of the world is paying attention, and collaborations like the Detroit Smart Parking Lab will continue to position Detroit as the innovation hub of the Midwest and a leader in smart city development. Thank you.
So that's it. That's the announcement. And it's super cool. So I hope you all check it out. For more information, please visit the American Center for Mobility's website. And our team's actually going to be around most of the day if you have any questions. Before we depart, we wanted to get a group photo with the governor. And I want to call back Carla to the stage. So thank you again, everybody.
I'm here. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Very good.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you.
Well, that was a great announcement. I'm so excited to see this project come to life. Yeah, for those of us who have spent a lot of time, I'll just say kind of, like a shark, going around looking for parking. It is quite annoying, and I think there's a lot smarter things that we can do, and of course, reduce our carbon footprint, which is all good. Which kind of goes along with the announcement that is expected today with the 50% by 2030, and we have the full support of the automotives here. And what are your thoughts on that announcement? And I know that you were part of the team that probably worked on that figure.
Well, I think it's exciting that the Biden administration is really moving aggressively in this space. A lot of the investments that they have made a priority are inuring to our benefit in Michigan, but ultimately to our collective benefit in that it's going to really encourage expansion and aggressive work in reducing our carbon footprint and making electric vehicle options available. And I'm really excited to see them, living the values that they promoted during a campaign and seeing it through. So I think this is something that for all of us, solidifies the fact that we've got to continue pushing the envelope in this space and collaborating to make sure we're successful in doing it.
Absolutely, and the automakers are surely behind it, and having a good concrete target, I think, is really important. So let's talk a little bit about COVID. I mean, the state's been through.
Do we have to?
I'm sorry.
Just kidding.
I'm so sorry. By this time we thought we'd be done with it, right? Totally done, and unfortunately, we have Delta and maybe more variants coming. We don't know. But it has had a profound impact on the state, a profound impact on our workforce. I mean, we've rebounded very, very well. I think we have to be really proud of what we did as a state, what the automakers did, for PPE, and how quickly they were able to pivot and how quickly they were able to reopen and get things running again. And we won't talk about semiconductors, but it has had a big impact on workforce and ability to have the factories running. And some of our companies on the west side are struggling. And I'd just like to, get your thoughts about workforce and what we need to do to get things back.
Well, I do think first I should start by thanking our automakers. I mean, they pivoted in the middle of the pandemic to start producing PPE. It was so important. And having so many automakers headquartered in Michigan, but with global operations, helped inform the work that we did as a state to keep people safe and to keep bring manufacturing back online as quickly as we could. They had a seat at the table, variety size firms had seats at the table as we wanted to really have a cadence that was supported by data and science about how we re-engage in the workforce and keep people safe. And we were very successful on that front only because we were very inclusive and listened to the experts. I'll tell you, I know where my expertise ends. I am not an epidemiologist. I'm not a virologist, public health expert. I'm not a manufacturing expert either. And that's why we sought out leaders in all of these fields to make sure that we were getting the best information that would inform the policies that I had to pursue to keep people safe. And when you look at our credit rating getting upgraded in the middle of all of this, how many lives we were able to save by working together, I think it shows that when you have experts at the table and you're working collaboratively and you're paying attention to the data, we end up with much better results. And so I'm grateful for the incredible collaboration and the outcomes that we've had. All that being said, it's tenuous. We know this. In this environment with the way that viruses mutate. I'm wearing my mask when we're all kind of closer together when we're inside. Trust me, none of you wants to be in a picture with me without my mask on because you'll get hate mail. So I wear it for your protection on that front as well. But it is, I think, a moment where we have to continue to follow the science and work together to keep people safe and keep manufacturing going because we're doing so many great innovative things. We're rightly focused on the virus, but we're chewing gum and walking at the same time. And I was telling my Fix the Damn Roads guy over there, I was so happy to see orange barrels on my way up this morning. It is a sign of progress, one that not everyone's happy to see, but I am. And we're going to continue to move forward and work very closely together to keep people safe as we're navigating whatever the future looks like.
And I know you've launched a number of workforce initiatives throughout the state. Can you elaborate on those? And I believe people have really taken advantage of them.
Yeah, so one of the things that we really wanted to do was to get our workforce, 60% of our adult workforce in a post-secondary certificate or degree by 2030. So it's our 60 by 30 goal. I set that goal my first month in office because Michigan hadn't set one yet, and I know setting a goal is really important, just like you said about the Biden administration announcement. We have been really working hard to ensure people have paths. So in the midst of the pandemic, we looked at all the incredible folks that put their own health on the line to protect everyone else, the people that stocked our grocery shelves, anyone who was in an essential workforce that had to keep going. We've created the Futures for Frontliners, which is kind of like the GI Bill after World War II. We've had over 100,000 people sign up to be a part of that program to enhance their skill set. So this is a tuition-free ability for each of them to pursue that. We also created something called the Michigan Reconnect, which we stole, we modeled after Tennessee. We stole it, made it a little bit better, and have, we've seen, I think, over 120,000 people sign up for that. So we're really moving to help connect people to skills so that we can continue to boast this incredible workforce as a great strength. I was in New York City not long ago and talking with some site selectors, and they said, you know, you've got the best workforce in the country. That's not an issue for you, even though we're so focused on continuing to make sure that's the case. We just got to do a better job telling that story. And so that was really great to hear, and that's why I want to share it with all of you.
Wonderful. And you know, as you mentioned, there were so many people that were deemed essential that we just relied on. And I hope now that things are, you know, opening back up and people are feeling a little more comfortable, we still thank them and appreciate what they've done, because, you know, without them, there's many of us that would have had a very, very difficult time. Let's move to roads for a minute. You know, last time you were here on stage with me, we talked about fix the damn roads. It was just kind of starting. Now it's everywhere. And I know a lot of us are probably complaining, but I think, you know, in the long run, it's really great, because when you're on those roads, once they're fixed, they're a lot nicer. But here we're talking all about smart mobility and you know, the need for communication. So as we're fixing the damn roads, are we making them smarter too, is my question. And then there's the bipartisan infrastructure bill now, you know, being negotiated. What might that mean for Michigan also?
So we are using advanced technology as we are building these roads, and we're creating opportunities for testing along roads, which are really unique. That's something that we have to offer here in Michigan. It's exciting. As we think about kind of the national infrastructure problem, I'll tell you, in 2018, when I ran for governor, I went across to all 83 counties in Michigan, and I heard over and over again, I just need you to fix the damn roads. And so I started talking about it that way, and it became something I ran on. I never would have imagined, I certainly didn't focus group it. My colleagues across the country, some of them were encouraged to use similar language to tap into that same energy, because it's not unique to Michigan. And a lot of them thought it was a little too colorful, I guess. So many of them have stolen it by now, which that tells you how quickly things change in a few years. But because of the work that we've done, and my friend Larry Hogan, the governor of Maryland, when he was the head of the National Governors Association, he wanted infrastructure to be a centerpiece of his initiative as chair. And so I hosted him here in Michigan, and we have done a lot of work together. We've testified in front of Congress about building resilient infrastructure. And I think that this is not unique to Michigan. We're focused, we're fixing, we're making a lot of improvements, but as a nation, we've got to get an infrastructure bill done. And I'm very hopeful. I've never been very good at predicting what happens in Washington, D.C. I'm more state focused, but we do seem to be getting a lot of information that it looks very, very possible that they'll get a significant infrastructure package done. Maybe not everything that every one of us wants to see, but if we can rebuild our roads and bridges and broadband and water infrastructure, it will put a lot of people to work, and it will inure to all of our benefits for generations.
I'm really glad you brought up the broadband issue, because when we think about education and those populations that don't have access to broadband today and how that's impacted them, and I have to say COVID again, with remote learning, I mean, it's really, really important that everybody have that equality, that now we seem like it's a basic equality.
It truly is. I mean, it's a fundamental in today's day and age, and where families are driving to try to get to the McDonald's so that they could get a little Wi-Fi so their kids could do their homework. That tells you we have to make this available. So many people were able to stay home and stay safe because they had access, but for those who didn't, they didn't have that same ability to stay safe. So we've got, as a nation, a lot of work to do in this space, but we're moving forward here in Michigan.
So since we kind of started talking about education, let's talk a little bit about talent in the state. As we make this shift to electrification and we require different job skills, Industry 4.0, manufacturing is getting smarter, everything is requiring new skill sets. You know, tell me about some of those programs and what we might have planned and how we're thinking to support this workforce upskilling.
So, of course, my team armed me with so many stats here, and I'm just trying to flip through to make sure that I'm highlighting some of the great things that are happening. But, you know, as we plot our next steps and what the next chapter looks like, it's so critical that we are continuing to have the workforce that can support the future of mobility. And current firms that are located in Michigan, their needs with regard to the technical skill set, that we have such great universities and so many engineers in Michigan. These are all tools in our arsenal that we are collaborating along so many different fronts so that we're able to meet the needs. But Carla, you were going somewhere else with that question, I think, so maybe you want to remind me.
Yeah, what I wanted to really focus on was, you know, what kind of programs have you started, and what kind of programs may still be needed for the upskilling, continuous learning, and then I even want to get into, you know, something with the younger group. But let's stick now with, you know, how are we going to get ready for that future of electrification when the job skills are going to shift and people are going to have to change?
Well, when I was out in Silicon Valley back in 2019, something that someone said really stuck with me, and it was, you know, expertise is the third most important thing we look for in a candidate. And I thought that was interesting because we always have a tendency to think, oh, you've got to have this certain skill set before you're able. But they said attitude and aptitude, number one and number two. Those are things that we cultivate as a society. They don't come in a course, but I do think that it speaks to the need that in this moment, being nimble, being able to and interested to learn and to enhance skills, because technology is moving so quickly. And we can and we will and we are doing a lot in terms of supporting our students and helping people who are in midlife upskill while they are still in the workforce. All three of those things are important components to our success and our ability to be competitive as individuals and as a state. I think too, we've got some very unique things that we offer: low cost of living and phenomenal natural resources and high quality of life. But I do, you know, as we are staging the upskilling of our people statewide, all of these are critical components. But I think that the Michigan Reconnect, the Futures for Frontliners, the work that we're doing with our community colleges to bring the cost down to almost zero for so many people in Michigan to enhance their skill sets, these are all really important components of our success in this space. And we're going to keep doing more.
So I suppose as we talk to people that may have some fear about their job being displaced, it should be more of a communication about stay curious, be adaptive, be willing to learn. You know, this is the kind of person who's going to thrive in, let's just say, the upcoming future in totality.
Yeah, you know, I say damn all the time, but I'm not going to be as colorful as the guy who I was talking to in Silicon Valley. But he said, you know, attitude, aptitude, expertise. Attitude, if you're a jerk, no one's going to want to work with you. If you have aptitude and you're open to learning and you're interested in learning, you have a thirst for it and you're eager, that is an incredible asset. And then skill set. So all of these things are critically important in candidates in the workforce, and that we're really working to ensure that we're giving people in our public schools on up experiences that feed those notions.
Yeah, if we could just take that curiosity we had as a young child, right, and keep that with us our whole life, just think what we could accomplish. Yeah, so now we need to get those young people, you know, engaged in some of the cool things that are happening here, and really excited to stay and learn and become part of that in our state. I know we don't have time to figure that out, but you created the Office of Future Mobility and Electrification, and already, under Trevor's leadership, it's making a statement, many statements. And when you did that, we already have this core culture in the state of all the automotives. Everything is here. How did you want that to interact, and what was your vision for OFME when it was initiated, and then how do you see it going further?
Well, as we know that mobility is central to who we are in Michigan, and we're defined by, just like our lakes. And there are some things that that created the middle class and sets this state apart, and they're sources of pride for all of us, but they're not guaranteed. We have to keep fighting on all fronts to ensure that we've got the synergies and the concentration right here in Michigan. We have to keep working to make sure we protect these incredible resources. Mm-hmm. We cannot make assumptions that just because this is where we come from, it's where we're always going to be. Mm-hmm. And so, I think that Trevor and the MEDC, Quentin Messer, our new leader at the MEDC, we all have that attitude that we are going to fight to win on every front. And we've got a powerful story to tell. We've got incredible assets to boast. We take none of it for granted, and we want to partner with everyone who wants a seat at the table. And you don't have to be the big three to be successful in Michigan. In fact, there are stories after stories of firms of all sizes that are making their home or part of their operation home in Michigan. And it's something that I think that Trevor's vision and energy and Quentin's leadership, we're going to continue to really push in this space. Because mobility is not, it's changing, it's dynamic. Mm-hmm. And it's funny that Trevor said immobility today. I think that's hilarious, but it is an important aspect of the experience and accessibility in the future. Mm-hmm. And that's why we're working on all these fronts.
Yeah, absolutely. And, here at this conference, of course, we have the automotives and we have the suppliers, but now in the mobility ecosystem, it's the data companies, it's micro-mobility, scooters, bicycles, and even people using their feet because we want them to be healthy. But all these different options, when we think about providing those ladders of opportunity, those, ways to get to work, ways to get to education, ways to get to healthcare. We have to be considering everything. So I think that vision is right. Looking at the future of mobility, it's not just cars, although that's a big part of our economy. But we have to be looking at more.
Right.
The announcement at the start of the session. That was amazing. I had heard nothing about it, so it was a nice, well-kept secret. I'm sure people on my team heard something about it, but not me. And so we want to be the leader in smart parking as well. And, why does that element matter so much? And, really, how is that going to be accomplished? And how do we unite on, not only smart parking, but others? So I know that's a lot to ask you at first. So let's just talk about the announcement at first, and why is that important for us?
Well, as Trevor said, 95% of the time a car is not moving, and there's not someone in it. And you think about that, it's kind of a startling statistic, but it also feeds, I think, a lot of possibilities in mobility. I know there's been so much focus on connected and autonomous and shared and electric vehicles. The shared aspect, we're not certain what that looks like after mm-hmm. COVID, because certainly that's had an impact on so many aspects of our lives that we're still kind of grappling with. But when you think that 95% of the time an individually owned vehicle is not moving, that really creates some opportunities. And to just take the parking aspect and have the partnerships with Enterprise and Bosch and Bedrock. It's a chance for us to come out with some additional solutions that isn't maybe just about as seemingly simple as keeping a vehicle in one place at one time. It's going to have applications in many ways that I think we can predict, and in many ways that we can't, that we'll learn and we'll continue to move forward and lead on.
Yeah, and then, you know, when we think about parking and there's other elements related to mobility, what other bodies do we need to bring together, or how can we unite better as a state? When we look at some of the mobility issues that we have, maybe it's aging in place for senior citizens, maybe it's, you know, our underserved communities being able to get to public transit, maybe it's public transit itself. You know, do you envision a lot more public-private partnerships to enable these solutions? Because obviously we just can't point at you or the state or government and say, you need to fix it. Industry can't fix it, but together I think we can do great things.
Absolutely, and we can improve the quality of life for people. I mean, one of the most fun days that I've had as governor was we were awarding grants for people that were solving mobility problems for people who don't own vehicles, who can't afford vehicles, who need to get to a doctor.
Yeah.
And so we awarded a number of grants. We're working creatively with private partners, and we're going to continue. That's the spirit in which the department is run, and in which I think we engender here in Michigan. That's how you solve problems, by working together and being creative and being inclusive.
Well, Governor Whitmer, I know our time is up. I know everybody here in the industry appreciates all you're doing for mobility and to spearhead the technologies that we're all working on. So thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come see us today.
Thanks, Carla. Good to spend time with you.
Thank you.